Hello there. We are just getting started. You are watching Be the Boss of Your Money, and let's go to camera one. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Mitch Goldberg, your host. This is Be the Boss of Your Money. This is a live stream show about personal finance. That's a pretty big umbrella, but ultimately it's to make you better with your money, to help you be in control, take control, stay in control of your money. That's why I call the show Be the Boss of Your Money. It's a little hokey, but I do think it's also a little catchy. We've got a couple of things to talk about today. First of all, I don't stream on Fridays just because I write a blast email on Fridays, so I stream Monday through Thursday. That's a lot, believe it or not. There's a lot of effort that goes into that. But I take one day off from streaming Friday, and all hell breaks loose. We started to have a nice rebound today, but I would actually say today was really not a particularly encouraging and good day in the market. I'll tell you why. We also want to talk about picking through the rubble. There are so many great companies out there, but they went up so much. And some of these have backed off 20, 30, 40% and even more. Some of these work from home, stay at home tech stocks. How do we pick through the rubble? Which ones could you buy? I'm going to go through that with you and tell you which questions to ask yourself before you pull the trigger. So there's a lot to talk about. So welcome to Be the Boss of Your Money. I'm Mitch Goldberg. We're going to roll a quick intro and we're going to get into this. So here we go. Hello, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Mitch. You know that already because you're watching right now. I thank you so much. Your time is very valuable, and the fact that you chose to spend some of it with me means a lot to me. And I only want to bring you value, exceptional value, the kind of value that you could take to the bank. Yeah, I like that. Value that you could take to the bank. I have to write this down. That I'm really proud of myself for thinking of that. That could almost be like a new tagline. We're talking about the stock market, personal finance, investing tips, financial planning. There's so many things that fall underneath that umbrella. 401ks, rollovers, IRAs, Roth IRAs, conversions, backdoor Roths. Yeah, you see what I'm getting at? We're really on a roll. Today, I want to talk to you about the market because A, I think we enjoy it. B, it's exciting. And C, this is where we could make money. So let's talk about the market. I stream every Monday through Thursday. If you don't catch me on Friday, it's because I don't stream on Fridays. And that's because I typically send out a blast email roughly between 4:30 and 6 o'clock every Friday. Keep an eye out for it. If you are not on my email list, send me a DM or let me know now in the comments that you want in on that email blast. It's good stuff. And, it's all original content. Okay. I would like to welcome all of you. If you're watching this on the live stream, if you have any questions, you know what to do. Hit me up in the comments. I love it when we interact. Listen, I'm here for you. I am here for you. When you ask me questions and we get together, and, I get to answer everything and we talk, we get to answer your questions. It's the best. If you're watching this in the replay, welcome to you as well. I am so glad you're here and I will see your questions also. Okay. Words of encouragement, words of advice, the benefit of your experience. Let us know in the comments. Let's share. Let's all be better with our money. Let's all be the boss of our money. So what the heck is going on? First of all, like we ended last stream of last week on Thursday, it's all about those pesky interest rates. Interest rates go up. The big winners of 2020 go down and vice versa. There's a rotation going on. Economically sensitive stocks, they are you know, attracting money. And this to me, I just want to say, like, Kathy Wood, do you know who that is? Kathy Wood. She is the fund manager for 5 ETFs, innovation, high tech stuff, new wave stuff. She her most popular ETF that she manages is ARKK, the ARK Fund. And she said today, hey, this means that the economy is broadening out, stock selection is broadening out, opportunities are broadening out. I'm not convinced of that because I think it looks more like a zero sum gain. You know what that means? Zero sum, SUM gain. It means that it's not necessarily all new money, a lot of money going into the stock market, lifting all boats. It's more like people are just shifting their money between work from home and economically sensitive. What do I mean by economically sensitive? Industrial companies, a Caterpillar, a John Deere, a Boeing, Southwest Airlines, GM, and energy companies, banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America. You get the drift. Some of the consumer discretionary companies, companies that make things that you don't necessarily need, but you want. And then the work from home, stay at home stocks. The companies that actually enabled us to still get through this pandemic with social distancing, like Amazon and Facebook, and game stocks like Activision and Take-Two, Peloton, Zoom, DocuSign. You get the drift, okay? And it's just money is going from one place to the next, from one area to the other. It's a shift. And now that the shift is, it's not just something that's starting, it's well underway. I think it's pretty dramatic how big the shift is. So let's take a look at how dramatic the shift is. I'm going to give you the question right now. If you want to pick up these beaten down tech names, the work from home, stay at home stocks, the companies that allow us to actually stay at home, you have to ask yourself not just where the money's going. We understand there's a rotation into economically sensitive stocks. I know you know that, but you have to ask yourself, which of these work from home, stay at home stocks don't have so much to lose when we start going back to stores and restaurants and vacations and traveling and experiences, when we get back to the experiential economy. So who's going to lose? Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Okay. So let's just take a quick look at the screen. I'll put myself up here, up top. All right, here I am. All right. I see a few of you out there and I see the comments coming in and I really appreciate it. I see Ron is out there. I see Tom is out there. Andrew is out there. I appreciate all of you guys out there. I'll start throwing the comments and questions on the screen, but I want to move through this because last time I started getting to the questions and comments early, which I love, but it's like 35 minutes went by like that and I didn't even get to the main storyline yet. But if you look at the Dow 30, the Dow is up. NASDAQ got pummeled. It's been getting pummeled for a while now. But Disney was up 6%, up 11, almost $12 a share. Cisco up 2.7%. Walgreens up. Visa up. Travelers, Home Depot, Goldman Sachs, American Express, Coke. Who is on the bottom? Apple, Microsoft, Intel, Salesforce. It's kind of strange that Cisco is one of the leaders when the other tech stocks, like an old line tech stock like Intel and Microsoft and Apple were down. Yes, I call Apple an old line tech stock. People think Apple's like a new company. Apple is one of the oldest publicly traded tech companies that there are. Yes, they've been great at reinventing themselves, as has Microsoft. So we see what's happening here, right? Disney is like a classic example of both a stay-at-home and work-from-home stock because it's stay-at-home stock as a winner because of Disney Plus, but it's an economically sensitive winner also because of the parks. The theme parks get to open and people go back to the movies. Okay, so that's a perfect example of that. Let's take a look at the overall market. The Dow is up 300 points. That sounds pretty good at 1%, but the NASDAQ was down over 2%. And the Dow was up over 600 points at one time. And the NASDAQ was only down about 100 points at one time. So this is a pretty weak close. I mean, we started the day up because of a hedge fund manager. One of my favorites, David Tepper, said that he thinks the run up in interest rates is just about over. I should have thrown this on the screen before I had this planned out, but last week I said one of the reasons that interest rates stopped going up, they hit 1.6% and kind of stopped, is because German yields, French, British, Japanese yields are so low that our 10-year U.S. Treasury looks very attractive to foreign buyers, which means they buy our treasuries, and then the yield either stops going up or comes down a little bit. That's what Tepper said today. I beat him to the punch. I don't know when he had the thought, but I put this note out last week. I just want to say a little, humble brag. Okay, I work hard to make these shows and put this together, so I want a little credit. Okay, so that is why it was such a crappy day today, because it was a weak close. And NASDAQ just continues to get pummeled. How low can it go? I remember in the year 2000 and 2001, my friend Adam and I would talk every day, and we would say, how low can it go? And he would say, can't go much lower than this. It went down almost 80% on the NASDAQ. Think about that. Where would that put the NASDAQ now? At about 2,500? It's 12,600 now. Yeah, that's a wipeout, okay? It happened. It happened 21 years ago, all right? S&P off about 0.5%. Energy was up this morning, down by the end of the day. We already looked at the Dow winners and losers. Get that out of there. Let's take a look at the 10-year Treasury. The 10-year Treasury, okay, 1.6%. It looks like 1.6% is the resistance level. Like the yield doesn't go above 1.6%. I think what you're going to find is that eventually is going to become a floor. And then we'll get used to 1.6, 1.8, maybe 2%. And then we'll be okay. It's just people are trying to figure out, investors are trying to figure out how high will inflation go and how high will it drive the Treasury, the 10-year Treasury yield. It's very interesting, okay? I think it's interesting that gold is usually gold is usually the go-to inflation hedge. But so if gold is an inflation hedge, why isn't gold doing well? Gold is acting so bad, and the gold miners ETF is acting so bad. It's hard to fathom this or to put this together. Bond investors are worried about inflation, but shouldn't gold be going up? But I'll tell you why I think gold isn't going up and why maybe Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin moved up, had a nice day today. I go by Bitcoin, Coinbase. Okay, up a wee bit. All right. But why? I think as interest rates go up, that's doing the job for investors in terms of soaking up excess dollars and restricting movement of money a little bit. And that's basically why. I think people don't. There's a lot of investors who just don't believe the inflation story. But right now, the investors who do believe the inflation story are getting most of the attention. I'm just going to close a couple windows. Let's take a look at some of the industrials. UAL, Southwest Airlines, and General Motors, which is also doing well. These are stocks I spoke about a few weeks ago. I said 2 stocks that cut their dividend that I think could reinstate a dividend. Plus, they've got a lot of other good things going on because they're economically sensitive stocks. See, when I buy a stock for, let's say, an economically sensitive stock, or if I recommend a stock to a client, I usually just go ahead and buy it in the client's account. I want more than just a good story for economic opening. I want something extra. And an initiation of a dividend or reinitiation of a dividend to me is definitely another positive. I like more than one positive when I go into a stock because I want other things to fall back on in case one thesis is a misfire. I've got something else to fall back on while the other one percolates. Okay. And then let's take a look. And this is what I really want to talk to you about. Look at Zoom from 330. The stock was as high as 588. This is just the day range, 339, 309. But from almost 600 to 310. So Zoom is down almost 50%. Who would have thunk it? And they're still growing and they're still doing very well, but they're not growing as much as they were. And that stock got so ahead of itself. Obviously it did, which if it didn't, it wouldn't have come down as much. Clorox, I used to talk about how that's got a whole 200, 187. Activision from 104 to where it is now 89. But look at Peloton. You see that 171 down to 101. I mean, that is just a crushing blow. And it's others also. Let's see if I could just pull up a couple of other hot stocks. Okay. Look at DoorDash. Okay. So here's DoorDash. 52-week range, 256. No, I'll grant you this. The 256 high was for about 3 seconds, but it was well into the 200s. And now it's down to 133, and it got pummeled last week. And it just like as bad as it was last week, you think, oh, it's got to stop going down this week because it went down so much. Look how it did today, down another 12% today. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I want to talk to you about what we see going forward and if it's time to pick up these beaten down stocks. First of all, this really has a lot to do with personal finance. Do you have the risk tolerance for these stocks? Do you have a long time to give to these stocks? I mean, these stocks, look, if you take a look at from where these stocks were to where they've come down, like Peloton, Zoom, DoorDash, if you look at that, for these stocks to go up, they have to go up 70, 80, 90% to get back to their old highs. You know, if you saw that return in the space of, let's say, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, that would actually be a very decent return going forward. And I think if you buy any of these beaten down work from home, stay at home stocks, you have to be prepared to give yourself years for these stocks to go back up. I don't think you're going to get that kind of market again where these stocks just rally right back to where they were and go on to new highs. And if that's what you're expecting and you bought these stocks in your way down, I think you're in for some pretty disappointing news. I have to stop touching my desk because it makes this camera shake. So I think you're in for some really, my opinion is you're in for some disappointing news. And I'm not saying you should go out and sell them. The fact is, I'm not here to give you a buy or sell recommendation on any of these stocks. I will tell you that your own buy and sell decisions, and certainly the buy and sell, and certainly the buy and sell decisions that I make for my clients, is always based first and foremost on one's personal finance situation. That's the key. I go into these stocks. Yes, a lot of people say, like I say, I'm in it for the long term. But I really am in it for the long term. A lot of people say, oh, I don't worry if these stocks go down because, I'm way up and I'm in it for the long term. It's easy to say you're in it for the long term and have a lot of confidence when you just buy stocks like crazy that everything you buy goes up and you start thinking falsely that you're a genius because you have this weird, phony, false sense of security, this false validation of higher intelligence just because the stocks you bought went up. And we know that is the worst thing that can happen because what happens after that is complacency. So what you want to do is say, what do I have? Am I willing to give them the time that it's going to take for these stocks to work? So here's what you have to ask yourself. We're in a seesaw, or I should say a tug of war. That's the international sign language for tug of war. Okay. I like the way that looks in the camera. I'm not going to do that again. Just one more time. Okay. You have to give yourself the time necessary to buy these stocks and ask yourself, what will this company lose? So I see DoorDash and I see people going out to dinner again in states like Texas and Mississippi, even in New York. Restrictions are loosening up. People are going out. Restaurants are starting to open up with more and more capacity all over the country. So if people aren't ordering in as much and they order in through DoorDash, does DoorDash have something to lose when we start going out again? I think the answer is yes. Now you could say no. It's just my opinion is yes. That makes me worry a little bit. Now you take a look at Amazon. Amazon to me is it's an economic miracle. It's an economic marvel. Well, actually, Warren Buffett called Amazon an economic miracle, and if Warren Buffett says it, that's pretty good. But stores are gearing to open up. Even I was looking at Target and Ulta. You've heard of Ulta? Ulta Beauty? We punch the stock up, okay? Take a look at Ulta. Stock was up over $12 today, and it's touched a year high, okay? So Ulta is doing really well. Target, now Ulta's opening up stores, a store within a store concept in Target, but retail is planning on getting back to business, on getting you to the stores. And a lot of people want to go out shopping. For me personally, I could buy everything online. If I never go to another store again, except for B&H in New York City, I love that. I don't ever have to go to another store again. But people go back to stores, and if they buy from the store, from the manufacturer or the distributor, which is a Macy's and Abercrombie and Fitch, I don't know, American Eagle, AEO, they buy at Dick's Sporting Goods. Like you see, the stock of Dick's has been flying high. Who loses? Maybe Amazon loses. Amazon has other things to lean on, like web services and space and so many other businesses. Okay. But do you get my drift? I look at a DocuSign and I could see personally every single document that you touch, that you sign, I could see all of that migrating to DocuSign. And I think we're just getting started. I've been a user of DocuSign for a few years, but my usage of DocuSign, like everybody else, has accelerated over the last year when the lockdown started. It is amazing. I don't have to print documents. I don't have to collate and pay someone to do this for me. And I don't, every time I open up a new account for somebody, I've got to send documents and receive them. It's about $16 in postage, and then it's like a mound of paper. And when I get everything back with signatures, it all has to be scanned back in and submitted. With DocuSign, there's no printing, not going through paper, not using any postage, and I'm not wasting my time scanning documents. My assistant can do better things with her time than scan documents. For a small business owner like me, that is a huge deal. You multiply that by everybody, no paper. I think that is an incredible thing. So that's something that interests me, but I'm just trying to give you the pros and cons as examples. I take a look at Airbnb. People are going to travel more. Are they going to go to hotels? Yeah, listen, Marriott hotels, MAR, that stock has been doing well. But Airbnb has done well in part because of the pandemic, where people could at least go and have their own house with their own family and not have to worry about the other people in the hotel giving them COVID. But when people get back to traveling, will they still want to use Airbnb? Will they still worry a little bit about COVID and all that? I don't think Airbnb goes away. And Airbnb has a business model that's so scalable. It's pure profit. They add on more revenue without any cost. It's really a remarkable story. So that is what you need to ask yourself. If somebody's gaining, somebody's losing, and you take a look at all these work from home, stay at home stocks that have plunged, like a Peloton, for example, are we going back to the gym? I think a lot of people want to go back to the gym and not just work out at home. All right. So all of a sudden, anecdotally, it's a lot easier to find decent gym equipment on Amazon than it was 6 to 9 months ago. 6 to 9 months ago, you couldn't find anything. And now you can pretty much get whatever you want. You could also get paper towels and toilet paper and all those other things that seem to be out of stock. So I think that's the key to this. If you want to buy what's down and you're picking through the rubble, look, I don't know what the bottom is going to be for these work from home, stay at home stocks. And every time you think there's a bottom, these stocks go $10, $12, $15 lower. It's amazing. And the percentage drops are getting bigger and bigger because it's $10 off a $400 stock compared to $10 off a $200 stock. You see what I mean? It's just the percentages are getting bigger, but the dollar drops they don't get smaller. This could all change, and we could see these stocks go a lot lower, or we could see a lot of them start to turn around. But I think as a group, investors bought these stocks as a group, treated them as a group, and sold them off as a group. And now the hard work begins where you have to analyze each and every one of them on their own merit and start to become a stock picker as opposed to just buying a category of stocks. Let's take a look at who's out there in the comments. Let me just take a look here. We've got Ron, the Ron. All right, Ron, you're on the screen. Ron, I think you're trying to be me here, right? Okay. Welcome to my live stream, Be the Boss of Your Money, presented by Mitch Goldberg, MD, the Money Doctor, streaming live to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, to wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much. I like it. And we're coming out from YouTube as well. I see what you're doing there. You're making sure you're hitting all my platforms. The doc is in the house, and I am the Money Doctor, and you can take that to the bank. Okay, we'll go. Value that you can take to the bank. Mitchell Goldberg. Andrew, thank you very much. I just want to bring you value that you could take to the bank. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I am the Money Doctor. You can take that to the bank. Okay. Ron, I think you're like all my comments today. Thanks for tuning into the live stream, guys. Presented by Mitch Goldberg, MD, the Money Doctor. I like that. It's very clever, the Money Doctor. I just don't know if I could call myself the Money Doctor. I think it might be a little too, arrogant to say the Money Doctor. I know it's clever. I don't want to be that way. I mean, maybe it comes off a little douchey, maybe. You got to watch out for these things. You know what I mean? Can I say that in a live stream? Hey, this is like cable TV, right? It's not network TV. Hey, look, it's not a dirty word, okay? So that's it. I greatly appreciate you joining me. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think we're going to talk about SPACs and some of the things that a financial advisor should and should not do for you. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So let's do a little outro music. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.